Namaskar. We'll just start with a small prayer. Gajanana Padmarkam, Gajanana Maharnisham, Anekadantam Bhaktanam, Ekadantam Upasmai, Saraswati Namastubhyam, Varade Kamarupini, Vidyarambam Karishyami, Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada, Ya Devi Stuyate Nityam, Vibudair Veda Paragaihi, Same Vasatu Jihvagre, Brahma Rupa Saraswati, Sadashiva-Samarambham Shankaracharya-Madhyamam Asmadacharya-Paryantam Vande Guru-Paramparam Shruti-Smriti-Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat-Padam Shankaram Loka-Shankaram Guru-Brahma Guru-Vishnu Guru-Devo Maheshwarah Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Aparna, you can just introduce, sir.
Namaskaram and welcome to all who are attending this webinar. It's a great privilege for me to introduce Sir. Bharati Vidya Vibhutihi, Dr. Nagaraj Paturi sir is a polymath and thought leader who has played a pivotal role in advancing Indian knowledge systems. His contributions have shaped academic programs, research collaborations, and dialogues between traditional Shastric scholars and contemporary academia, ensuring their continued relevance in both academic and policy-making spaces. Trained at home in Sanskritam and Advaita Vedanta, Dr. Paturi sir has cultivated deep expertise in classical Indian knowledge traditions from a very early age. His work represents a rare synthesis of traditional wisdom and modern scholarly inquiry, making him a vital bridge between ancient and contemporary thought. His focus has been on reviving, preserving, and contemporizing Indian traditions, guiding scholars and institutions towards authentic Indian perspectives. As Senior Director and Dean at Indica and now Kulapati, he has spearheaded mentorship programs, research fellowships, and curated diverse conferences and symposiums. It's a great privilege, sir, to have you with us and to guide us in how this program of Swaraloka is going to be played out over the next few months till Gudiya Sambrama 2026. Thank you, sir.
We have Priyanka Kumarji and Sharanya Harshita. Three others than Aparna ji and Vijayakka. So may have, because it's a very short group, an introduction to the other people also.
Sir, there are 48 people. This is a webinar. There are 48 people waiting there to listen to you.
Oh, okay. So these are, okay, I have, okay, this is, we have 42 more attendees sitting here.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so when this year for Gudiya Sambrama, Vijay Lakshmi ji was thinking of topics. She thought Swaraloka would be a very good topic because as a sequence from Akshara, Swara would be a very good next point. And when Swara was mentioned, when Swara is mentioned not only by her to me or anyone, what comes to our mind is music. Because we have Swaras in music. And for many, it also brings to our mind Swaras of Veda mantras. And there usually is a question of whether we are going to deal with the Swaras of Vedas or Swaras of music or any other Swara for that matter. Is there any other Swara aspect also? Swara of Veda and Swara of music are connected is known to those who know the history of Bharatiya Sangeeta. Those who know the history of Bharatiya Sangeeta know that the known three swaras of Veda and the known 7 or 12 or 21 swaras that are discussed in Sangeeta Shastra are all connected to each other historically is known to the students of music. So, if in the Gudya Sambrama series of talks, if there is going to be a talk on, in a very standalone way, on just Veda Swaras, those who know this kind of historical connection between Veda Swaras and the Sangeeta Swaras, they don't think that to be completely out of place. They know because they are historically connected also. But those uh, who do not know this kind of history may think that these are completely disparate topics. Swara of Veda is completely different from the Swara of music. But because there is the same common word, Swara, between these two, this particular organization is conducting talks on those two different topics. But I think we are going to have scholars, experts, resource persons who are capable of connecting these two worlds, Vedaswara world and the Sangeetaswara world together. We are going to get educated about not only the historical connection, but also the conceptual connection between the swaras of Vedas and the swaras in music. Okay, let us look at the swara of Veda mantras. Those who look at the swara of the Veda mantra as something completely ritualistic, a traditional adherence to a particular way of pronouncing a particular mantra, may not look at it this way, but let me tell you that if you are a student of language studies in general, in a very broad way also, or if you are a student of modern linguistics, articulatory phonetics, or articulatory linguistics. Articulatory means related to pronunciation, how you bring out your sound also. You might focus on certain concepts like intonation, stress, accent. Because nowadays there is a whole focus on text to speech in software IT areas. Those who work in this area like text to speech or speech recognition, they know the importance of accent, stress, and intonation in the pronunciation of words. Those who talk about Veda mantras give a story in which they say that there was a Rakshasa who wanted to kill Indra. For that, he pronounced a particular mantra in a certain way. But because of the Sanskrit expression style, the word that was used was Indrashatruhu. And the word Indrashatru is it's a Bahuvrihi Samasa. It is a compound word. It's a compound word. It can be either a Bahuvrihi or a Tatpurusha Samasa. So if you make it a Tatpurusha, it becomes Indrasya Shatruhu, or you can make it another, you can give another Vigraha Vakya to it. You can understand that in a different way by saying Indra, who is a Shatru also. If it is Indrasya Shatru, if it is Indra's enemy, it is the Rakshasa who is using this swara only. But if it is Indra who is Shatru, then it is the Shatru of this Rakshasa, Indra. He is addressing him. When you pronounce this compound, Indra Shatru, a particular intonation gives the meaning that it is Indra who is my Shatru. Or if you give another intonation, it makes Indrasya Shatru, Indra's enemy, that is he himself. He pronounced it in such a way, with such an intonation, wrongly, instead of pronouncing it as meaning Indra, my Shatru, he pronounced it with an intonation which gives the meaning Indra's Shatru with a wrong intonation, and went on pronouncing it repeatedly as a japa. It affected him, and he was saying that let that person get killed. So he was saying that may Indra's enemy get killed. He himself got killed. If he would have given the intonation in such a way that Indra, my enemy, may Indra, my enemy get killed, Indra would have got killed, but his intention boomeranged because of a wrong intonation that he used. Is the story which is usually narrated while teaching the students about the significance of swara. This experience of intonation being very important is there in all of us also, even in our own general regional Indian languages or English also. If I say, are you coming with me? You are coming with me. You are coming with me is an imperative, it's an assertive sentence, a declarative sentence. But if I put a question, interrogative intonation to it, if I say, you're coming with me? You're coming with me? At the end of the sentence, just with this change of intonation, it becomes a question. Even a declarative sentence, an assertive sentence, that is a straightforward general statement, can be turned into a question by just adding an intonation at the end of questioning, interrogative intonation. If I add, you're coming with me? You're coming with me. You're coming with me? Me? The intonation is a raising intonation, and you're coming with me. It's a falling intonation. With falling intonation, it is becoming a declarative sentence. With a raising intonation, it is becoming an interrogative sentence. And we have experience of stressing different parts of the sentence also. You are coming with me, you are coming with me, you are coming with me, and all those changing the emphasis on different words. And those are also intonation aspects only. And these are actually communicating semantics. So our impression that semantics are connected to only prefix, suffix, and root words. Prefixes are changing the meaning. suffixes are changing the meaning, root words are changing the meaning. Last year's Gudya Sambrama was focusing on Akshara, the phone part, the phoneme part. The phone and phoneme part by itself is not semantically effective always. These phones and phonemes have to change into phonetic or phonemic sequences to form prefixes or suffixes and then root words to be able to communicate meaning, to be semantically, that is, meaning communicatingly effective. But there, we usually do not focus on intonation as a semantic tool. Stress as a semantic tool, accent as a semantic tool. That is, intonation as an effective tool of communicating meaning. Stress as a tool of communicating meaning. Accent as tool of communicating meaning. This we do not focus in the morphophonemic analysis, where we analyze only the prefixes, suffixes, and root words. Whereas those who focused on Swara in Veda mantras, they were mindful of the significance of intonation in communicating the meaning. Vedangas were intended to be useful in preserving the pronunciation of Veda mantras. And at that time, if they focused only on the phonetics or phonemics or morphophonemics of the Veda mantras, the wholesome or comprehensive preservation of the pronunciation would not have happened. Because the intonation, that is the swara aspect, also is a very significant aspect of meaning communication or meaning holding, also we can say, because uh, when we talk of Veda mantras from the traditional perspective, we can also say that mantra was not communicating anything from anybody to anybody. It was just manifesting itself. So when you are taking a position that Veda mantra is just a standalone manifestation of meaning, then we can say that it was holding the meaning instead of communicating the meaning. So whether it is holding the meaning or communicating the meaning, it holding or communicating of meaning happens even through the intonation. That is why the swara aspect of Veda mantras became very important. So we are going to have talks in this series about the significance of swara in Veda mantras. And Gaganraj ji seems to have raised his hand. Whether it is intentional or not, I do not know. But if anyone has a question, please type your question in question and answer box. In your just in front of you, there is a box called Q&A. If you want to communicate with us, there is no way you can directly talk to us here. So in a webinar format, you have to type the question in the question and answer box. Oh, so that, no, that was by mistake is what Gaganraj ji is saying. Actually, Gaganraj ji seems to have logged in from several accounts. His name, I see there are several Gaganrajas here. So the Bahurupi Gaganraj ji has raised his hand by mistake. I understand that. Sir Gaganraj, sir, you are like devatas appearing to me in multiple forms. Here.
Sir, they've probably shared the link.
So multiple people have logged in using the account given by
Yes.
Gaganraj. Okay, wonderful. So now we are going to talk about swara, which can be loosely translated as intonation. We are going to talk about that in connection with Veda mantras. And experts in Vedangas like Siksha Shastra and Pratishakyas, they are going to talk about Swara in Veda mantras from that perspective. And those who know about Vedas also know that there is a Veda called Samaveda, which is in fact a musical Veda. The mantras in Samaveda are shared by Rigveda also. So there are some mantras which textually have the common content between Samaveda and Rigveda. And there are some mantras which are there only in Samaveda, found in Samaveda. But the entire presentation of Samaveda is in a highly musical form that is known to many of you. And in India, those who know the history of music and those who think of from where Indian classical music has come, they all know the connection between Samaveda and the Indian classical music. So, any discussion on Indian classical music cannot go without covering Samaveda. So, there are going to be talks on Samaveda also. The interplay between the swaras that are found in the other three Vedas and also some portions of Brahmanas and Aranyakas, including Upanishads, in the entire Shruti, and the Samaveda rendering of the same is also a very interesting topic. There is a thesis by a Western Indologist which tries to trace the origin of Pranava, origin of Om. He traces the origin of Om to Samavedic rendering style only. His name is Garrity, Kenan Garrity. So he traces the origin of Om to the Samaveda style of rendering Veda mantras. How we can look at the origin of Om that is so central to the entire Indian musical tradition, whether it is just from Samaveda or we can go even backwards into the origins of Veda mantras, and how Samavedic rendering has its influence on the contemporary Indian classical music rendering style is also a very interesting topic for discussion. People are going to talk about those aspects also. And in a chronological sequence, from Samaveda, we move on to older forms of musical rendering, more traditional forms of musical rendering than what we today call Hindustani or Carnatic. That is, if you go to Hindustani singers, if you ask them what is older than Hindustani style of rendering music, they definitely mention Drupad. Drupad to be older than the contemporary Hindustani musical rendering. People who are knowledgeable in that area say that the word Drupad comes from the word Dhruva Pada. Dhruva Pada has changed into Drupad. And this Dhruva Pada style of rendering is chronologically a later form of Samaveda style of rendering Veda mantras, is what the historians of Indian classical music say. So, in the series of talks, we are going to have talks on Drupad or Dhruvapada music also. The speakers would be connecting Samaveda to Dhruvapada and Dhruvapada to later forms like Hindustani and Carnatic music also. And from Drupad, we come to what we today call Hindustani and Carnatic, and all those who are informed about the details of Hindustani and Carnatic musicology, Shastra about music, Sangeeta Shastra, know that both these forms, Hindustani and Carnatic, share the same Shastra. Shastra is the same for both these regional varieties of Indian classical music. And those Shastric details, which are shared by both Hindustani and Carnatic, will be dealt by some of the speakers. And while dealing with those Shastric details, we get into areas like some what we call coincidences between what we call Western music and Indian classical music. For example, any general contemporary young child of Indian music also would get surprised is about the number 7 for notes. The notes in Indian classical music are also the abbreviations given to the notes. Shadyama, Rishabha, Gandhara, Madhyama, Panchama, Dhanisha and Nishada, Sarigama, Padani, Sa, Padani are very similar to the number 7 in the Western musical notes also. Is this a coincidence or is this a spread of knowledge, a diffusion of knowledge from one part of the world to the other part? Can also be discussed. Those who are experts in that area would discuss that. There are some words, people try to use that. Nowadays, people are compelled to use those words. For example, what can you call raga in Western music? People generally use words like scale and scales like major, minor, and ragas, how they differ, how raga is a more rich and nuanced and complex way of looking at what is called as scale on the Western aspect of the musicological tradition, music theory. Such aspects are also worthy of discussion. In what way they are different, in what way they are similar, in what way there is a global commonness in classical musical traditions, in what way the Indian classical music tradition is distinct from the Western classical music tradition. All these things also are worthy of discussion. If enough suitable resource persons are available, there can be talks about the comparative distinction of Indian classical music from a global perspective also. And what happened during the modern period, particularly recent post-computer revolution period is there is a computational study of music. Is the music production computable? Can we make a computer generate music in a creative way? Can there be an artificial intelligence that can create music? These aspects also have been studied. People have been trying to create softwares for Indian classical music. Those who have experimented with creating softwares for Indian classical music, which is not artificial intelligence, it was just an attempt to just give a code level ability to create sound out of notations. That was a very beginning stage. Even those can be called to give talks in the series of talks. There are softwares like Rasika, uh, and there is a software CFugue that is created, and C sound is used in combination with the other softwares, and music rendering through softwares also has happened. So that area also can be covered. And when we go to artificial intelligence, we get into theory about creativity. When we are at the level of just music softwares of rendering notes that are fed into the program, artificial intelligence that does not come into existence. But when we go into the AI level of computation, then we get into the theory of creativity, how human creativity in Indian classical music is comparable to the machine creativity related to Indian classical music. And there are all kinds of debates about it, debates around it. Many senior musicians and musicologists have taken a position that artificial intelligence can never replace human creativity in Indian classical music. But there are the other extreme arguments that such a creativity is possible. So that takes us into the theory of creativity itself in general, related to Indian classical music related music theory and musicology. And we have wonderful scholars who have already attempted artificial intelligence programs, AI programs, in making systems, expert systems, in creating expert systems that can produce independently classical music rendering sessions. For example, a system can compose its own bandish independently and create multiple bandishes, multiple compositions in a random way by randomizing the note sequences. Such systems have been already created. There are experiments with regard to that. So what it implies for Swara? What are the implications of creativity with regard to Swaraloka, Swara sequences? Those experts will come and speak in the series of Gudiya Sambrama talks on the Swaraloka topic. And one topic which I was suggesting to Vijay Lakshmi ji when she was coming up with Swaraloka topic, which probably has become a very cliche topic. The word is cliche. People use in a very loose way, in a very general way, is Nadopasana. Nadopasana is a spiritual, upasana is an inward spiritual practice. Inward spiritual practice using nada, music. So, music based inward spiritual practice is Nadopasana. The impression when people use this word Nadopasana that comes to people usually is that, okay, there are bhajans, there are bhakti songs. So singing in general, any musical rendering is useful for keeping people in a certain devotional mood, in a spiritual mood. And musical rendering, either in the form of actual rendering through one's own voice or in the form of listening, that is kirtana or shravana. Sankirtana or shravana is anyway, musical rendering is attractive. It has got its own mnemonic value, that is memory support value, and it has got its own emotional usefulness. So that will give you devotional efficacy, spiritual efficacy, is the way people think that Nadopasana is useful. But one information that might surprise most of the audience of today's webinar is that Tyagaraja, who is considered to be uh, an avatara, temples are constructed for Tyagaraja. In his kritis, talks about Nada Brahmopasana not in such simple way of music being effective for devotional mood, or music being effective for spiritual mood, or music being mnemonically effective, or any such superficial aspects. He talks about how production of music through one's own body has got a yoga related effectiveness. It's a form of yoga. Yoga through music production. He talks about the details of that, and he mentions a particular text that talks about the details of what happens in the form of yoga while a musician produces music out of his own body. And he talks about the ultimate destination of spiritual practice itself to be in the form of music, not in a very superficial way, simply saying that, oh, Brahman is in the form of music. No, in a very highly logical, shastric, theoretical way, he establishes how Brahman can be music. The ultimate essence of the cosmos, cosmic essence, can be music, and how a musician through his musical production practice can reach that cosmic essence in the form of music. All that is called Nada Brahmopasana by Tyagaraja. Uh, any speaker, one of the speakers can take up that topic also. But because I am the one who is emphasizing that so much and actually uh, talking about it as a very distinct topic, I myself might take it up on me to talk about this topic, Nada Brahmopasana in Tyagaraja Kritis, what he means by that, how musical activity can be a means of yoga practice, Nada Brahmopasana. That's also a very important topic of Swaraloka. And the word Swaraloka actually means the world of Swaras, right? Already we have seen how this world is so big, the world of Swaras. is big. But if we realize that world of swaras is connected to sculpture also, then we would realize how bigger and bigger and bigger the world of Swaraloka is expanding. For example, many of those in the audience would have visited many temples where there are pillars which make different notes. And it is fancy for most of the tourists to go use a stone, hit those pillars, and get different notes from those pillars. What is there in it? How the material science of sculptural shastra, material making or material identification, particularly stone material structure, stone material identification, and stone material transformation is related to the production of various notes from stone, and how unmodified hills and mountains also have been identified to be producing various notes of music in various portions of the natural formation of the hill or mountain, how temples were constructed keeping musical notes in mind, giving an expression to a musical composition in the form of temples. Because our series of programs are being called as Gudiya Sambrama. It is Gudi related, it is temple related. And when we realize that there is a relation between structure, construction, sculpting, architecture of temples and the musical notes and musical ideas, that becomes a very important area to be covered for the series of talks that we are going to have during this Gudiya Sambrama series of talks. Even that would be covered during the series of talks in Gudiya Sambrama. And there are devatas, deities related to music. Right from the Vedic times, certain Vedic deities, Vedic devata forms have always been associated with not just music in general, but also the details of swaras. There is a devata of a particular swara, and how these devatas of swaras and devatas of nada in general, devatas of music, how they exist, how they have been conceived, and how gradually those devatas like Gandharvas, Vidyadharas, Kimpurushas, Kinnaras, etc., are depicted in the temples as entities of music, creatures of music, beings of music. If you look at temples, the different sculptures in temples, certain sculptures have musical instruments in their hand, indicating that they are music related entities. What are the conceptual ideas behind making those category of devatas, that classificational category of devatas as related to music, as related to swaras? This is also a very interesting topic. And those who are aware of different devatas like Dakshinamurti may be interested to know that Dakshinamurti has got a form called Veena Dakshinamurti. Dakshinamurti, interestingly, is known for silence. People consider Dakshinamurti to be a form given to silence. But how a form given to silence can hold a sound creating instrument called veena, and how there can be a form of Dakshinamurti called Veena Dakshinamurti is a very interesting topic. Various Veena Dakshinamurti sculptures, its relation to the concept of silence, its relation to the concept of Dakshinamurti itself. All this also can be a very interesting topic for one of the talks in the series of talks that we are planning to have in the Gudiya Sambrama series of talks. And there are possibilities for connecting Indian classical music to Indian folk and tribal musical forms also. How, for example, if you are talking of bhakti music is in the form of bhajan music, and the bhajan teams all over India, majority of them are folk musical teams only. These folk musical teams may not be knowledgeable in classical musicology at all, in the Sangita Shastra at all. If you go and tell them also that there are concepts like Shruti, Swara, Grama, Murchana, Raga, and all that, they may not know all these Sangita Shastra details. But an analyst can go and a Shastrajna, a Lakshanakara can go and do such an analysis to these forms. In fact, Marga and Deshi in Indian classical music is all about this only. How local, Deshi literally translates to local only. So how this local Deshi gets influenced by the Vaidika Swaraloka and leads to various regional classical forms. For example, if we are calling Hindustani and Carnatic to be two different forms, they are just regional varieties. And these regionalities in Hindustani and Carnatic are obviously, or already acknowledgedly, products of Deshi combination. Annamacharya, who is a contemporary of Purandaradasa, 15th century Vaggeyakara, who composed kritis in a huge number, around 32,000, they say, for Venkateshwara. He also composed a musicology text called Sankirtana Lakshana. And today we do not have that Sanskrit text of Sankirtana Lakshana. There is a Telugu translation of the same done by his grandson, which is called Sankirtana Lakshana Sara. From that, we are able to know what Annamacharya would have written in Sankirtana Lakshana. From that, we are able to understand that these musicologists and musicologists come musicians like Purandaradasa and Annamacharya, knew that they were only giving a marga form to the Deshi. That is a classical form to the folk. They were aware, both Purandaradasa and Annamacharya were very well aware that they were classicalizing the folk music in the form of their Kriti rendering style. And all the Dasara Padagalu of Karnataka, people know who render these Dasara Padagalu that they are actually in the form of a folk style of rendering only. So, how that folk style is connected to classical style, how there is a folk classical interface in Swaraloka can be also a very important topic for discussion. And the general topic that people talk about, how bhakti and the other adhyatmika sadhana of yoga and other things are supported both in the form of creating mood and mnemonically also for adhyatmika sadhana, for a spiritual practice through music, can also be a very useful and important topic. So, because all these possibilities are there, I think by now audience would agree that Swaraloka is a huge loka. It's not a small loka limited to one single talk or one single discussion. And Vijayalakshmi ji's plan is to have both a demonstration, that is performance, and an analytical discussion and analytical talk together on each day. So there will be a talk and also a performance. And there can be a lecture come demonstration also by some groups. Many musically activist groups exist in different parts, particularly of South India, particularly in Bengaluru itself. They may come and give lecture, come and demonstration that can be supplemented by, or we can say either way, vice versa. A lecture discussion can be supplemented by performance, and the performance can be supplemented by lecture. Both are mutual. So each session would be having both these elements, performance element and lecture element, talk element. So that is the plan that I heard from Vijayalakshmi ji with regard to Gudiya Sambrama. Because I was instrumental in encouraging Vijayalakshmi Akka for the topic, though I am not at all knowledgeable in the area of music. I am just a learner in this area. Akka thought that I should give an overview, a scope of what is going to come for the whole series of talks. Now I am ready to take questions if there are any. And these questions and my answering those questions is only to give a clarity if there are any doubts about how we are going to go about. Gagan Raj. So because there are many Gagan Rajas, I do not know which Gagan Raj it is. I have heard many Talamana of Shilpa Shastra is somewhat correlated into ragas in music. Yes, you are right. In Shilpa Shastra, certain Talamanas of certain Shilpas are connected to certain ragas. Not just that, just as there are miniature paintings of Rajasthan, actual Gagan only is asking, sir, is Gagan Raj? Okay, so actual Gagan, the similar to the miniature paintings of Ragaraginis, most of you may be aware that there are Rajasthani miniature paintings of Ragas and Raginis coming from the 16th, 17th century Rajasthani painting culture. Particularly the culture grew in 17th and 18th centuries. Similar to that, much earlier to these paintings, in sculpture traditions also, there has been a tradition of giving visualization to ragas in the form of shilpas, in the form of sculptures. So even that is there, apart from the Talamana and Swaramana relationships that certain Shilpis have rendered in certain parts of Tamil Nadu. There are visualizations in the form of sculptures given to certain raga and other swara aspects. Even that is there. Okay, and any more?
So just to let you know, we've contacted one art historian from MS University, Baroda. She has done extensive research on this Ragamala art, the Raga and Raginis. So she will be speaking in end of May. She's a doctorate. She's a doctorate in history of art history. But she's also done a PhD in sitar, just so that she can understand the whole concept.
There is a suggestion here. Who has said this? Oh, it is in chart, I think. Would it be worthwhile to explore the relationship between Swaras and Panchabhutas? Sharanya ji is asking. Yes, ma'am. This is a very important topic within Sangeeta Shastra. There are scholars who have worked on the relationship between Panchabhutas, Shatchakras, and times of the day, and different aspects of time, the time measurements, and beliefs about the relation between not just Panchabhutas and Swaras, but the Devatas, Pratyadhi Devatas of various elements of music like Swaras. There was a PhD done in Telugu University in Hyderabad on this topic. So we can have a talk on that topic also. And also, how do we associate Nataraja's dance and his damaru to swaras? Yes, that's a very important question. I think I'll have an opportunity to talk about this. That's a secret topic. Let me, to create interest in you, let me tell you that it's a secret. And I will reveal this secret when I get an opportunity to talk about that very, very important topic of Nataraja and Damaru. I will cover that also. Or if there is any scholar who is interested in that topic, he may also come. And Sufism also gives a lot of emphasis on music. Islamic Quran is also recited in a musical way. Can there be correlation and contrast between Muslim music tradition and Vedic music traditions? Currently, in the Gudiya Sambrama series of talks, there is no plan to cover that topic at all, sir. Sir or madam, who is it, where it is. Good evening, sir. I just wanted to know if we will be learning to sing kritis in this workshop and performing it in the end. Oh, Vijayalakshmi Akka should be able to tell you about any plan to conduct actual singing training classes during the Gudiya Sambrama period. There is a possibility, but it depends on the resources and plan of Vijay Lakshmi Akka. I'll ask her. She'll be able to answer that question at the end. Same is true with Sikhism, Gurbani, Buddhism, Pali canons rendered in music. Wonderful. Definitely Sikhism, because it is part of Vedic tradition only, and Buddhism is very closely connected to our Indian classical music. I think definitely our speakers are going to talk about the relationship between the Sikh rendering style of Gurbani bhajans and Buddhist style of rendering pranava and various other mantras and all that. Is there any connection with music to Shrut Srushti Utpatti in Sankhya. Oh, Gaganraj, you touched a very effective, sensitive nerve by raising that topic. Actually, that is going to be part of Nada Brahmopasana. So, if I am going to have an opportunity to talk about Nada Brahmopasana, I'll talk about that music to Srushti Utpatti in Sankhya relationship, definitely. And Samaveda and Ravana, can it be explored deeply? Yes, absolutely. But that needs a specialist who is knowledgeable in the area. There are experts in that area, but we should be lucky to get them. I am not one. I am not an expert in that area, though I know very superficially about Samaveda and Ravana relationship. But if we are lucky, before the series ends, if we get an expert, we will definitely organize that talk also. I have come through an article in astrology where Bija mantras are associated with particular planet. So is connection with Swaras same as the Panchabhutas. Absolutely, Usha Nauduri ji. Exactly, this is the topic that was done PhD on from Telugu University. That person is actually an astrology person only. That is why he got interested in this topic. He was covering this relationship between Panchabhutas and various planets and the relationship with ragas. And Sangita Shastra texts deal with the relationship between planets and stars also, nakshatras and ragas and all those things. So until then, until this person chose it for his PhD, people used to think that these were usual superstitions, just relating certain concepts. But this person was interested in creating a logic, a Shastra theory for that relationship that is mentioned just as a list in Sangita Shastra books. They just mention them, they don't give the logic. But this person was trying to create that logic and relationship between these concepts. So thank you, Usha Naudiri ji, for getting to that very important topic. Yes, Vipanchi S. Rao ji is asking how period of Mughals influenced the classical musics of India. I think Vipanchi ji, it is already a very established, very well established topic that the present day form of Hindustani music has got a great influence from Mughal period. And definitely a speaker who is going to cover Hindustani music, the features of Hindustani music, is going to cover an answer to your question, Vipanchi ji. That is going to be a very important topic in Hindustani music and its historical aspects. So I think we have covered everyone, all questions. Meena Ganesh ji, Samaveda and Ravana. Gaganraj ji, as always, wonderful questions on Srushti Utpatti and all that. Vidya Nag ji, Natarajas Damaru. Yeah, wonderful. Good questions. Over to you, Akka.
Thank you very much, Paturi sir. I did notice some questions here, which I think I will answer, where somebody has asked about will we be doing a contrast with Muslim music tradition and Vedic music tradition. I think we would like to first learn what the Vedic music tradition is. First, after we learn that, then we can try to compare it with anybody else or any other form. So this is going to be only where we are looking at our Vedic music tradition. Once we are confirmed and firm in that tradition, then we can start making comparison with other traditions. So I think we will confine ourselves to the Vedic music traditions for this series, because it is about Gudiya Sambrama. And yes, about art. So we are making some, so many of them are visual artists. So that was their interest about how to interpret it. So I already sent a message to all of you. Some people asked, how will this help in art? That is something for the seeker to decide. That is not something that any of us can tell you. I can't tell you that because you attended this class, your painting strokes will improve. So that is something that you have to discover. And yeah, I think we have covered everything here. So we are going to do some classes that will be with a music program, as he said. Well, we can always learn a kriti. That shouldn't be such a big deal to do. Or an ashtanga. Session on this. Okay. Yeah, we can try. I mean, we can try to satisfy all your requests, but you are asking for the entire world of Swaras. So we'll try to see how much we can cover with that. So I think we should end the session. We are already at 10 minutes past 9. We will see you all next Tuesday. And we will slowly put up a calendar of all the talks that will be there. But I encourage that you all attend all the talks, especially those who are going to be totally involved with Guriya Sambrama and the visual artists. Certainly, I would like for you to be here. So thank you, Paturi sir. So we'll be anyway meeting you every other month in every other class. So since you have listed the topics, now it becomes your responsibility. So thank you all, and we will just end with a
You
small.
may send your suggestions also. You may keep sending suggestions. Wherever there is a possibility of getting a resource person for your good suggestions, we'll be trying to get those speakers, resource persons. So please keep sending your suggestions and feedback from time to time throughout the year.
Yeah, you can please just send your suggestions on an email to guria.sambrama. So then we can collate everything and then put it up with the calendar. That becomes easier. So we will end today's session with a small Shanti Pata. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Masatoma Sadgamaya Tamasorma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya Om Namada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Namevavasishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.
Okay, namaste.